Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Simisola Adigun. Well, the political crisis in Rivers has taken a dramatic twist as the State House of Assembly, under the leadership of Victor Oko Jumbo, has resolved to initiate measures against Martin Amaewhule and other lawmakers who announced their defection on the floor of the House on December 11, 2023. The resolution follows a motion of urgent public importance presented by the Assembly's leader, Sokari Goodboy, who called for the Assembly under Oko Jumbo to invoke constitutional provisions to hold the lawmakers accountable for their legal violations. Goodboy argued that their actions threaten the rule of law and undermine the Assembly's efforts to restore its integrity. He further urged the House to act against the lawmakers, saying that they continued to conduct Assembly proceedings despite losing their seats due to defecting from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). The faction made the decision after the Martin Amaewhule-led faction of the State House of Assembly declared the seat of the Chief of Staff to Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Edison Ehie, and 3 other pro-Fubara lawmakers vacant in the wake of their absence from sittings for 152 days. While making the declaration during plenary on Tuesday, Amaewhule explained that Ehie did not properly write to inform the House of his new office, and as such his seat has been declared vacant. The House further agreed to write to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to conduct elections to replace the now vacant seats within 90 days to provide representation for their people. The Assembly also agreed to give Fubara another opportunity to present the 2024 Appropriations Bill following the Appeal Court's nullification of the 800 billion naira budget which he had presented to a parallel house led by Edison Ehie. Well, there seems to be no end in sight to this fiasco in the Rivers State Assembly. I'm now joined by legal expert and political affairs analyst Evans Ufeli. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Now, the crisis in Rivers State is getting really confusing as, you know, the divide between pro-Fubara lawmakers and pro-Wike supporters keeps getting worse. But as a legal expert, what do these actions and counteractions portend for the state?
Well, the human element of that state are making the states politically impossible for both actors. That is Wike and Fubara, the outgoing governor and the current governor. Okay? And this is, to say the least, most unfortunate because the warring parties have made it impossible for democracy to have peace in that place. Now, those who support both sides, too, are deepening the crisis, okay, at the detriment of the people of Rivers State. You know, whilst every other state has moved on after the 2023 election, Fubara and Wike are locked down in this battle for supremacy for a very long time. And it does not only stifle the prescient structures of democracy, it also stifles the environment, the circumstances of that state, given that even children who are looking at the political the political intrigues are surprised and wondering whether this is how democracy is run and entrenched, and that the parties involved don't care about the next generation, the younger generation, how they see it, and that they don't care about the sustenance of democracy or its dividends in the state, but that it's about self, okay, self, and self. And this cannot take a state that far when everything is about self. Those who lead must be the ones who will keep creating problems for the states all and all. The president's intervention didn't work, more so because it was not also honest. It was not honest because Fubara was asked to go and undo a lot of things, and those things he went to undo were used against him. I mean, he withdrew the case. The adverse party continued the case, and judgment was ruled against him not too long ago. So all kinds of call for intervention does not work. The feud seems to have overpowered the elders of the state. and the feud seems to also have eluded the president. So we don't know where the two of them are going to in this battle for supremacy. But we'll sit down and watch and see how this turns out.
Now, don't you think that the Amaewhule-led assembly should have allowed the governor, that's Fubara now, to represent the state's budget to the full house, just as they had earlier demanded, before declaring their seats vacant, that's the speaker's seats, so he doesn't do so to another parallel house?
No, but the Amaewhule-led fashion, the court had already said that Fubara should go and represent the budget. The court said so already, okay? And that's exactly the ruling of the court. Before the Amaewhule fashion came up with this constitutional provision of 150 days if you are not involved in active legislative business, then your seat will be declared vacant and that. But the truth is that, do they have the local standard? The Amaewhule fashion, those who defected from the PDP to the APC, do they have the local standard to hold the Oko Jumbo's fashion to account and to determine their seats by virtue of the effluxion of time, because they did not join they did not join them in this whole thing? So when you look at it, he that comes to equity must come with clean hands. I don't see the moral rectitude that the Amaewhule fashion possess to dispossess the Oko Jumbo's faction of legislative ownership or legislative activities. I don't think so. Rather, if there's anything that should go the way of unconstitutionality, it should be the Amaewhule's fashion that started the feud itself. They are the ones who woke up one morning and said, you know what, with flags of the APC, they defected on the national TV. The video evidence are there, and all other recordings are there. So later on in the year, they turned around that they did not defect, But by that action, they sparked the feud. They created a war. And today, the war has refused to abate. And now they are turning around to say something different, to lay hands on something entirely different from what the decision they have taken. So for me, if any fashion must be discarded, I think it's the Amaewhule's fashion. That is a fashion that defected, and constitutional compliance is required. Even though they went to court to stop INEC, they got a restraining order to stop INEC for conducting election when Edison Ehe pronounced their seat vacant and wanted to give vent to the constitutional provision for their seat to be declared vacant. Even though there is a restraining order to that effect, if any of these two groups have to be sent packing, it's the Amaewhule's fashion. They ignite the fire, and that conflagration is still ongoing.
Let's now discuss President Bola Tinubu's statement addressing the violent attacks on the local government secretariats. Fubara said specifically that his name was singled out in the statement when the president called for restraint and upholding the rule of law. Apparently, Fubara expected that the president would also mention Nyesom Wike, that's the FCT minister's involvement in the violence. Now, are Fubara's fears valid, considering the president's statement?
I've said it consistently that the president's expression in this matter, the president's intervention in this matter has not been balanced. Has not been balanced because every time they are to talk about rivers, the president keeps calling on Fubara to go and do this, go and do this, go and do that. Whereas Wike in the president's cabinet that's closer to the president keeps, putting fire in states, like he said, keep creating fumes. The president never calls him to caution. The president never informed him to go and do things he has done wrongly. The president keeps calling Fubara, and that is unjust, because that would mean that the president is taking side by implication, and I don't think that's right for a leader. A leader should be dispassionate, and when you want to take decisions, you take decision without any fear of evil or having anyone in high esteem and disregarding the rest. That is not the right thing to do. You are supposed to be an umpire. Intervene if you want to intervene. If you don't want to intervene, leave them. Let them keep fighting. But for you to do it one-sided, for you to do it in an unbalanced manner, there is no way the infighting will not continue. It will continue because the intercessor or the one who is coming in between, intermediary to bring the matter to an end or to bring the dispute to an end, is not doing it in a way that will promote peace. And once you have that, you will keep having that infighting until there's equality and justice.
Now, governors elected on the platform of the PDP commended Fubara following the way he handled the recent council elections in the state. And what are your thoughts on the general conduct of that election?
Yeah, the APP won almost 22 out of 23 local government, right? And what it shows is that Fubara, used the APP, which is the party that won this large chunk of the process. Now, we see what Fubara did in that election is not different from who Wike is. You understand? That they are trying to unbundle Wike to reduce his power. But in doing that, Fubara has demonstrated the same kind of character, the same kind of do-or-die approach to issue. And then he has used that to enthrone himself, to enthrone people, win almost all the local governments in the state, just because in that way it will weaken Wike and the rest of that. Why I agree to weaken Wike and all that, I also think that Fubara accusing Wike of wrongdoing has also entrenched himself in that same wrongdoing, which at the end of the day, we don't know who is better among Fubara or Wike. But we'll see them towing the same character, unleashing the same kind of mayhem on an innocent state and our people, in equal measure. So whatever is said of Wike should be said of Fubara. By Fubara's current conduct, whatever is said of Wike should be said of Fubara.
Well, Mr. Evans Ufeli, we have to go on a short break, and the conversation will continue afterward. Stay with us. The program will continue shortly. Welcome back. We're still discussing the political crisis in Rivers State. Legal expert and political affairs analyst Evans Ufeli is still my guest on the program. Thank you for staying with us, sir. Now, this part also between Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, has split the 31-member assembly into two warring factions. Now, do you think that there is room for reconciliation, considering how long this crisis has extended for?
Well, there's room for reconciliation, but somebody has to initiate that reconciliation. There's room for it. But that reconciliation is actually impossible if there's no reconciliation between Wike and Fubara. Because it is the loyalty tussle and the supremacy tussle that has ravaged the state unbearably. You see, if you are going to have an amicable settlement, it must emanate from the executive, from Wike and Fubara. Once Wike and Fubara are able to tie a knot, tie a cord of peace, it will follow naturally that their followers are the people you have at this other level, warring and all that. So if you're able to get them to order, all of them, and they're able to negotiate, they can get away with this. But because of ego and so many other considerations, it's difficult. It's very difficult for each side to listen to the other. They are finding it very difficult to do. And I think that the more the more they keep worrying, the more difficult it will be. At some point, certain persons have to, ditch their pride, okay, swallow the humble pie, and surrender to reasoning and peace.
And it is more unfortunate that the judiciary has allowed itself to be dragged into the crisis by issuing too many conflict orders. And this matter could have been managed without all these orders, don't you think?
There's no way the judiciary will not be dragged into it, because once there is dispute, parties will submit to the jurisdiction of the court. They will file cases now against each other now, and they will come to the jurisdiction of the court to determine it, and the court will give judgment. Now, as to why the court is giving contrary and conflicting judgment or ruling, is that will never stop. It will never stop, because when, for example, you file a case in Rivers State on an issue, let's say on the issue under reference now, and the case is ongoing, someone else goes to Abuja, file a case on that issue, but file it partly on the issue and partly on other issues, and have raised issue for determination and prayers before the court, which are different from the issues of determination and prayers before the court, the one in Rivers. You understand? And the fact that they're on the same subject, one is on the whole subject, one is partly on it, and other part are out of it, with different prayers, both suit with different prayers. There's no way you expect the court to grant judgment that will maintain them when their prayers are different, and when what they're asking the courts are different, even though it's partly on the same suit. You understand? So what the judiciary have done is to ensure that when you are filing a case, especially on the election petition, you will deposit an affidavit before the court that you have not filed that case elsewhere, to avoid multiplicity, okay, that you have not filed that case elsewhere. But where you have filed a case and you are not aware of any other person, and that other person has gone to file the same matter in Abuja, you understand, and it has presented different prayers before the court, and you in Lagos have filed that matter a long time ago, present different prayers before the court is not going to deliver judgment based on the fact that he knows that there's a second case. You understand? The court is not aware that there's a second case. So what the court will do is to look at the material evidence before it, pronounce judgment in line with the prayers of the parties. You understand? The one in Abuja will look at the case, pronounce judgment in line with the prayers of the parties. Now, the prayers of the parties are different. At the end of the day, you are going to have different judgment that may conflict. And that will continue until they find a way around it.
Now, how, in your opinion, how did things get to this point in the Nigerian politics atmosphere, should I say, that predecessors expect subservient acts from their survivors, like we're seeing now and we have seen in the past?
Respect is earned. Respect is earned. It's not something you force on people. You can't force respect on people. You must earn it. You earn it by being diligent, being, humane, being a statesman. Okay, one who commands respect by virtue of result and precedence. You've done something remarkable. You've led people remarkably. You've, make your mark in the sand of time by being patriotic, by being progressive, by lifting people who are downcasted, taking initiative and policies that have projected the life of people. If you have done that, fine. Then respect will naturally come to you. It will naturally come to you. But when you go with a whip, trying to force people to respect you at all costs, when you are not relevant, you've not done any particular thing that is distinguishing, that will make people to come, rally around you, it will be difficult for you to want to get your way through that means. So I agree that every successor must respect its predecessor. But I also believe that that must be earned. It shouldn't be cast in stone that once you are my predecessor, I must be at your beck and call. No. If you earn it, fine. If you earn it, fine. And you will get the eulogy, you will get the respect. Not just from the people you have led, but from people all over the world. You will get it. But anything short of that, you are begging the question.
Finally, given the ongoing turmoil, Nyesom Wike, that's the former governor and minister of the Federal Capital Territory, has been accused of fueling the crisis. However, PDP leaders are finding it really difficult to hold him accountable. Now, does this imply that Wike wields more power, than the party itself?
Wike is not bigger than the party. That is why we talk about party supremacy. Party supremacy will mean that the party's decision, and consideration supersedes every individual thought. Wike became a behemoth. He became an albatross in PDP, having funded and financed the party, having been the one who took the party when the party was in its low time, took the party out of oblivion, more or less taking the party out of obscurity. Okay, so his contribution to the party is enormous. And that is what makes him feel that, you know what, no one can question or challenge me in this party because of what I have done in this party and because of all I have put forth for the sustenance of this party since they left the center in 2015. We could have done remarkably well in that regard, financing the party, doing all sorts. He has done well in that regard, but, assuming the position of the owner of the political party or an albatross, one who cannot be controlled by the party, is not democracy. Under democracy, party supremacy strives, and that is what is required, that the party must be able to exert itself above, far and above every other human consideration and entity in the party. But if one person stands there and is giving orders and threatening everyone, and the entire political party cannot withstand that or dethrone that kind of leadership, then the party is in soup. They are in shock for it. And they will remain low and weak because of that common act.
Well, we have no choice but to wait and see what else comes out of what else happens in Rivers State. Mr. Evans Ufeli, we appreciate you talking to us. As always, thank you very much, sir, for your time. And that's all on this episode of the program. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.